I never really belonged here. Even though I put on my white coat every day, walked through the cold glass doors of Mount Sinai Hospital as a pediatrician. Even though I saved many children's lives. Even though I devoted myself to my patients, all of that was worthless in my mother-in-law's eyes. I'm Emma Carter, Brooklyn. Those memories are a part of me. They're what make me who I am today, an independent woman. A good doctor. A mother who loves her children more than life itself. But to Eleanor Carter, my mother-in-law, I was nothing. She never hid her contempt for me. But she covered it up with a perfect cover. In society, Eleanor was a prestigious philanthropist. A woman who the press praised as a New York angel. She participated in major charities. Appeared on the covers of fashionable magazines. Stood on the stage of luxury fundraising auctions with a gentle smile and compassionate eyes. But I know the truth. Behind the doors of her lavish Upper East Side mansion, behind the Carolina Herrera dresses, behind the sparkling pearls, she was no angel. She was a kind-hearted evildoer. Someone I had mistakenly thought would only cause me trouble, but in reality, she had even more terrible plans for my son. Darkness behind the splendid rooms. When I married Nathan Carter, I believed that our love was strong enough to overcome all our differences. Nathan is a successful tech entrepreneur, co-founder of a billion-dollar startup, Stanford MBA, always looking cool in a perfect Armani suit. He is the man I love, but he is not brave enough to protect me from my mother. I could feel the tension from the first day I stepped into the Carter family's lavish mansion. There were long, uncomfortable dinners where Eleanor pretended to be friendly, but every word was laced with sarcasm. Emma, this dress looks a bit modest, doesn't it? I thought for a doctor. You could choose something more classy. Brooklyn? That's interesting. I've never been there, but I hear there are a lot of local eateries? You're familiar with that sort of thing. Huh? I did. But what hurt me the most was that Nathan never spoke up to defend me. He could defend his point of view eloquently in front of investors. But when he stood before his mother, he was silent. He just sat there, not a word of protest, not a word of defense. For the first time in my life, I felt lonely in my own family. But I told myself, I can endure. But there is one thing I cannot forgive. That's when she turned that hatred onto my son. Liam is not Grandma's grandson. Liam Carter, 7-year-old son, is a happy and smart boy. He loves reading comics, running around in the park, and always has a bright smile. But I started to notice a change. Every time I mentioned visiting Grandma, Liam became evasive. Mom, can I not go to Grandma's house? I should have. As a pediatrician, I have seen signs of mental instability in many children, but I did not recognize it in my own child. Gradually, Liam became more reserved. Every time I come back from my grandmother's house, I always have a strange expression. Sometimes I even bite my lips and refuse to say anything. One time, I accidentally saw a red mark on my child's hand, as if someone had squeezed his wrist. I asked, but Liam just shook his head. I thought Eleanor just hated me. But she didn't just hate me, she hated her own grandson, too. And I didn't realize it until it was too late. Until that fateful day, the day I found out Liam was being treated like an animal. The day I couldn't forgive myself for letting that happen. The day I decided to fight. I used to think that nothing in this world could scare me. I faced difficult surgeries, witnessed children fighting diseases, saw life and death intersect in every moment. But I never knew true fear until I walked into that mansion and didn't hear my son. Nathan was in California on business, and I had a 12-hour medical conference. Although I was a little uneasy, I had no choice but to leave Liam at my mother-in-law's house. Don't worry, I'll take good care of Liam. At that time, I believed her. An unforgivable mistake. I returned home at dawn the next day. My body was exhausted after a long shift. But I still tried to walk faster as I reached the gates of Eleanor's massive mansion. Everything is so quiet. Too unusual. There was no sound of Liam's laughter. There was no sign of the maid walking around as usual. The atmosphere was so quiet it was scary. Liam? Where are you? No one answered. The magnificent mansion was still lit. But inside was a haunting emptiness. I ran up to the second floor, opening each room door one by one. Living room, no one there. Liam's bedroom, empty. Eleanor's office, empty. Suddenly, I heard a weak sob. The horrifying truth. The cry echoed from the backyard. T. And I froze. In a hidden corner of the garden, where the light didn't reach, Liam was huddled in a dog kennel. I was speechless. Her expensive private school uniform was torn and dirty with mud. Her little feet were bare on the cold ground. Her lovely face was pale with fear. Next to Liam was a stainless steel bowl containing dog food. I rushed forward, but the child retreated. Mom, her voice was trembling, unlike any sound I had ever heard from her before. I took my child's little hand, and when I saw the red mark on his wrist, my heart felt like it was being squeezed. Grandma said, "You're not a Carter." Liam sobbed, tears falling to the ground, mixing with the mud at his feet. She said I was unworthy and had to live out here like a dog. I feel nauseous. Anger flared up inside me like a fire. I clenched my fists, trying not to let my anger turn me into a loser. I begged her to give me water, but she turned off the tap. Liam pointed to the nearby faucet, turned on tight. Not a drop of water coming out. I can't breathe. The monster in Angel's garb. She did this to a child. With his own nephew. I held Liam tight, kissing his hair, matted with sweat and tears, trying not to let my own tears fall. Then I entered the villa. In the living room, Eleanor was still leisurely drinking tea. Her red lipstick lips curved into an arrogant smile. "Welcome home, Emma." Her voice was soft, as if nothing had happened. On the tea table, a fine baccarat porcelain cup was still steaming hot. Eleanor looked me up and down, as if I were just an ordinary person, an anonymous maid in this splendid house. "I have prepared a suitable place for your son." She said it calmly, as if she had just placed an item in its proper place. I wanted to kill her right then. I wanted to scream, wanted to turn everything upside down, wanted to do anything to tear that fake smile apart. But I don't. I grabbed my phone, turned on the camera, and took pictures of everything: Liam's wound, the dog crate, the food bowl, the turned-off water faucet. I may lose my temper, but I can't let this anger turn into a stupid action. I need her to pay, in the perfect way. "You're not getting away with this, Eleanor." For the first time, I saw her eyes waver. I turned around, picked Liam up, and left that house forever. But I know, the real war has only just begun. I will never forget the moment I carried Liam out of that mansion. His body felt light in my arms, but my heart felt so heavy I could barely breathe. My little boy trembled, pressing his face against my mother's shoulder, his little hands clutching my shirt so tightly that it wrinkled. My baby, Eleanor's own nephew, was being treated like an animal by her. As the car doors closed behind us, as I drove through the brightly lit streets of Manhattan, I knew this was not the end. I will not let her get away. I will end the impeccable reputation she has built over decades. She played a cruel game with my son. And now, I will play my own game. Perfect strategy. My dad, Jonathan Bennett, is a seasoned lawyer. As I put the phone on the table, scrolling through the photos of Liam's bound arms, the dog crate, the pet food bowl, his fists clenched. She went too far. My dad's voice was low, but I could tell how angry he was. My mother, Margaret Bennett, is a strong woman. When she saw Liam in my arms, she just gently stroked his hair, but I saw her tears fall on his shirt. "We're going to do this the right way. We're not just taking Eleanor to court. We will destroy her, both legally and socially." I sent all the evidence to Child Protective Services. A formal investigation was opened, but that was not enough. My mother, who was a senior member of the New York Children's Commission, immediately set out to expose Eleanor's hypocrisy before the entire city. The charity gala at the plaza is coming up. It's her biggest event of the year. We will make it the grave of her reputation. I nodded. This time, she won't be able to raise her head again. When the mask is peeled off. That evening, the ballroom of the Plaza Hotel sparkled under the crystal lights. The richest people in New York, the most powerful faces in the upper class, gathered in lavish costumes. And in their midst, as always, Eleanor Carter appeared resplendent. She wore a deep red Carolina Herrera dress, her hair pulled back in a luxurious bun, and a pearl necklace worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. She smiled and shook hands with important guests. carrying herself with the confidence that she was still the most noble symbol of this city. But she didn't know that today would be the day her world would collapse. As the party reached its climax, when everyone raised their glasses to toast to the kindness and compassion Eleanor had been preaching for so long, the large screen behind her lit up. Those. Camera with flash. Liam Carter sat huddled in the dog cage, his face pale with fear. Camera with flash. Small arms with red strangulation marks, traces of the rope. Camera with flash. A dog bowl is placed in front of a child. Camera with flash. Mrs. Eleanor, sitting cross-legged drinking tea with an arrogant smile. The banquet hall fell into deathly silence. I looked at Eleanor. Her face was pale as blood, her lips pressed together. I could see her satin-gloved hands gripping the wineglass, as if she wanted to crush it. But it was too late. All eyes were on her, disgust, anger, shock. A woman whispers to her husband. A businessman frowned and turned away. Then the whispers turned to gossip. And the gossip turned to outbursts of anger. Is this the woman we call the charity angel? She locked her own nephew in a dog cage? Phones raised, recording images, fingers tapping frantically on screens, spreading the truth out. Then the hall door opened. Reporters from the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, CNN flooded in like a storm. Cameras flashing continuously, microphones raised. Eleanor is surrounded. And for a brief moment, I saw her panic for real. No, it's not like that, she stammered. She lost everything. The next morning, all the newspapers were full of headlines about Eleanor Carter. She was removed from all charities. Her titles stripped. Her partners turned their backs on her. Those who once praised her now refused to mention her name. Prosecutors formally charged her with child abuse. I didn't come to see her when she was taken out of her villa. But I heard that no one stands by her anymore. My husband, Nathan, after all that had happened, finally understood the most important thing. I failed to protect you and the baby. But now, I will do everything to make up for it. We sold the penthouse, leaving Eleanor's shadow. A year later, I stood on the podium at Mount Sinai Hospital, talking about the signs of child abuse, about children who can't protect themselves, about what I had been through. Liam sat in the front row, his eyes no longer filled with fear. And Eleanor Carter? She lives alone in a small apartment. No one remembers her as a great philanthropist anymore, just someone who lost everything because of her own cruelty. I thought my family's nightmare was over when Eleanor was exposed in front of the entire city of New York. But it turns out the trauma she inflicted on my son is not so easily erased. Liam is no longer locked in a dog cage, but his emotional trauma remains, hidden in the wide eyes that once sparkled with joy. In the unnatural silence of a boy who once loved to laugh. I realized that the real battle wasn't about destroying Eleanor, but about helping my son regain his lost childhood. Invisible wounds. Since the day we left the penthouse, Liam has not been the carefree boy he used to be. She jumps every time she hears a loud noise. She clings close to me when we pass by buildings that are too big, as if she is afraid she will be swallowed up in some dark place. But the most painful thing is that I no longer believe I deserve to be loved. Mom, if I'm better, will Grandma love me? That question made my heart clench. I held my child in my arms, kissed his soft hair, trying to hide my own tears. Liam, you don't need to change. You are always worthy of love. But I know, these wounds cannot be healed with words alone. So I did the only thing a mother could do, fight for her child. I sought out the best psychologists, experts in child trauma, who could help my child find himself again. We spent months in therapy, helping Liam understand that it wasn't his fault that his grandmother treated him the way she did. And slowly, little by little, my son began to recover. Eleanor's complete downfall. Meanwhile, Eleanor Carter's world continues to fall apart in ways she never expected. She lost all her reputation, was expelled from all charities, and all her high-class friends turned their backs on her. Her lavish Upper East Side mansion, a symbol of her power and status, was auctioned off to pay off lawsuit debts. Those who once praised her now avoid her, not wanting to be associated with her name. And then, finally, she completely disappeared from our lives. No call, no apology, Just a simple letter arrived in my inbox. The last letter. Late one evening, as I finished a seminar on child abuse at Mount Sinai Hospital, I received an email, sent from an unknown address. The headline was simple: I don't expect forgiveness. Quote, "It's Eleanor. Emma, I don't expect your forgiveness. I do," reply to this email, because I won't be here anymore. I read that letter over and over again, trying to find some genuine remorse, some real regret, but I don't feel anything. No anger, no pity, no forgiveness. I just deleted the email without hesitation. We don't need her anymore. When I walked into Liam's room, he was fast asleep. His eyes were closed, his little face peaceful for the first time in months. I gently stroked my child's hair, kissed his forehead, and whispered, "Mom promises, you will never be afraid again." Outside the window, the New York sky was still bright with lights, but I knew that a new chapter had opened for my family. We no longer live in the shadow of Eleanor Carter. We have moved past the pain, and this time, we are truly free. A year ago, I thought I would be haunted by the name Eleanor Carter for the rest of my life. But as I stood on the podium at Mount Sinai Hospital, before hundreds of doctors, activists, and parents, I realized she was now a ghost from the past. On the screen behind me, the words flashed: Early Detection and Prevention of Child Abuse, Approaches from Medicine and Psychology. I took a deep breath, then began to speak. My family's new life. We left the cold penthouse that was filled with bitter memories. Nathan sold his stake in his tech company, left Silicon Valley, and started a venture capital fund focused on projects to improve child welfare. As for me, after fighting for a year to help my son heal, I decided to turn my pain into motivation to help other children. My son Liam finally found his smile again. At first, I was still shy with strangers, still startled every time I heard someone raise their voice. But little by little, I changed. I remember the day I saw him laughing out loud while playing soccer with his new friends. It was the first time in a long time that I heard him laugh for real, no more reserve. No more fear hidden in his eyes. That was the moment I knew we had truly escaped Eleanor Carter. Eleanor Carter, from icon to outcast. While we rebuilt our lives, Eleanor Carter completely disappeared from the world she once dominated. No more lavish parties, no more charity auctions where she stood on stage, speaking about her fake philanthropy. No more magazine covers celebrating her as a symbol of New York's elite. Instead, she lives alone in a small apartment in the suburbs, where no one recognizes who she is. Her once iconic Cartier cross? Up for auction. That lavish mansion on the Upper East Side? Someone else. The reputation she worked so hard to build? Completely destroyed. Those who once hailed her now dare not mention the name Eleanor Carter. As if the mere mention of her were enough to tarnish their reputation. Eleanor Carter? She used to be a philanthropist, but then got into a terrible scandal with her own nephew. Just one whisper like that at a high-class party. People who used to know her would immediately avoid her. She has nothing left. We won, but not because Eleanor lost. The conference at Mount Sinai ended with applause. I stepped down from the podium, and just as I left the auditorium, a familiar voice rang out from the door. "Mom, I'm here." Liam ran to hug me, his smile as bright as the sun. Nathan stepped forward, placing his hand on my shoulder, his eyes warmer than ever. In that moment, I realized our victory did not lie in the destruction of Eleanor Carter. Our victory was that we rebuilt a happy life, a life that she no longer had any influence over. Eleanor Carter may have lost her fame, her money, and her status, but most importantly, she lost control over us. Uncle, we don't need to think about her anymore. Because finally, we were truly free.